On November 22, 1963, the day Abraham Zapruder would forever surrender his name to an American tragedy, the Dallas dressmaker who loved to shoot home movies had decided to leave his Bell and Howell Zoomatic at home. It was his assistant who convinced him that President John F. Kennedy's motorcade through Dealey Plaza might be worth getting on film. 486 frames later, Zapruder had not only captured history, he had made it. The 26-second Zapruder film of Kennedy's assassination marked the freedawn of the viral video age. Ordinary citizens with cameras documenting extraordinary events. His 8mm images initially helped guide Warren Commission investigators to the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Later, parsed and scrutinized to this day, the Zapruder film cast doubt on the official explanation and spawned a swirl of conspiracy that would define not just the event but the modern era. When the reluctant Zapruder finally climbed up on a concrete pedestal 65 feet from Elm Street, he gave himself a nearly perfect vantage point on destiny. It is exactly where Hollywood director would have set up, Thompson said. At the lemur's closest approach to his camera, Kennedy's head explodes. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 35th President of the United States, visited Dallas. A presidential parade traveled north on Houston Street to Elm Street and west on Elm Street. As the parade continued on Elm Street at 12:30 p.m., rifle shots wounded the president and Texas Governor John Connally. Findings of the Warren Commission indicated that the rifle shots were fired from a sixth-floor window near the southeast corner of the Texas School, Book Depository Building, Elm and Houston, a block north of this marker. President Kennedy expired at Parkland Memorial Hospital at 1 p.m. The John Fitzgerald Kennedy Memorial Plaza is nearby, bounded by Main, Record, Market, and Commerce Street. He really did a remarkable job, Thompson said of the amateur filmmaker. It was an achievement that Zapruder would have gladly avoided. The 58-year-old owner of Jennifer Juniors, who came from Russia as a teenager, loved the Kennedys. He climbed down from his first, put the camera down, and screamed, "They killed him! They killed him!" I think he was very sorry to be the guy who got it on film, said Alexandra Zapruder, the filmmaker's granddaughter, who last year wrote 26 Seconds, a personal history of the film's effect on her family. It brought him nothing but heartbreak. In the chaos after the shooting, according to an exhaustive timeline compiled by the assassination website JFK Lancer, a Secret Service agent rushed Zapruder to a Kodak lab where the film was processed on the spot. Zapruder provided 2 copies to the government and kept the original and 1 copy himself. Within 3 days, he'd sold the original and all rights to Life magazine for $150,000, giving $25,000 to the widow of a policeman who was killed by the fleeing Oswald. 6th floor. One of the windows there is where Lee Harvey Oswald positioned himself. This is the Dallas Book Depository. This is the building. And the shot came from there, and hit the motorcade of JFK here. To many assassination scholars, Zapruder's biggest impact was to cast doubt on the central conclusion of the government investigation, the lone gunman theory. The gruesome climax of the sequence shows a plume of gore erupting from the front of Kennedy's head. Oswald fired from behind. That spawned debates over neurospasm and the jet effect that have never gone away. But because the issue is never even mentioned in the Warren Commission report, the official version was hopelessly compromised for many. The climax of the film is not the scenario that they put forward, Thompson said. If it weren't for the film, the logical problems of the Warren Commission would not have been exposed. Thompson, a Yale-educated former professor of philosophy who worked on life's major investigation of the assassination, thinks the film is still yielding bits of truth. Digitally enhanced versions abound on the internet, and when combined with acoustic evidence, Zapruder may yet provide something definitive, he said. We in this country, in this generation, are by destiny, rather than choice, the watchmen on the walls of world freedom. We ask, therefore, that we may be worthy of our power and responsibility, that we may exercise our strength and wisdom and restraint, and that we may achieve in our time and for all time the ancient vision of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. That must always be our goal, and the righteousness of our cause must always be underlie our strength. For as was written long ago, except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Excerpt from the speech that President Kennedy was to deliver at the Dallas Trade Mart on November 22, 1963. You can ride here in the Thor limo, okay, a replica of John F. Kennedy's Lemo.
President's Secret Service code name.
That's the replica. You can rent that.
Exactly.
If you want to retrace
Lace on the move.
President Kennedy's road. What we're learning now, 50 years after, is how good the Zapruder film is at telling us what happened, he said. Zapruder died of cancer in 1970. The battle over who shot JFK and who controlled the film of the assassination raged on. Geraldo Rivera showed it on television in 1975. Frame 313 in all. Oliver Stone put it on widescreen in 1991's JFK. Life magazine sold the rights back to Zapruder's family for $1 in 1975. The federal government took the original as an official assassination record, paying the family $16 million under eminent domain in 1999. The family donated the copyright and their own archive to the 6th floor museum and the former Texas School Book Depository in 2000. And all, Zapruder's brief and eternal collision with history produced an artifact's teeth and evidence and uncertainty, perfectly preserving chaos, captured at 18 frames per second. This is where the motorcade came from. Yeah, this is the motorcade came from, and turn around here, and that was the fatal shot was fired there. So from here, presidential motorcade going there. It embodies all the contradictions that can't be resolved, said Alexandra Zapruder. Not just the forensic and the ballistics, but the cultural problems, our inability to make sense of the senseless. It's the movie that will never fade to black. The Texas School Book Repository building. This site was originally owned by John Nellie Bryan, the founder of Dallas during the 1880s. French native Maxime Gallup operated a wagon shop here in 1894. The land was purchased by Phil L. Mitchell, president and director of the Rock Island Flow Company of Illinois. An office building for the firm's Texas division, known as the Southern Rock Island Flow Company, was completed here 4 years later. In 1901, the 5-story structure was destroyed by fire. That same year, under supervision of the company vice president and general manager F.B. Jones, work was completed and the structure built to resemble the earlier edifice. It features characteristic of the commercial Romanesque revival style. In 1937, the Caraway Bird Corporation purchased the property. Later, under the direction of D.H. Bird, the building was leased to a variety of businesses, including the Texas School of Book Depository. On November 22, 1963, the building gained national notoriety when Lee Harvey Oswald, allegedly shot and killed President John F. Kennedy from a sixth-floor window as the presidential motorcade passed by. The word allegedly was emphasized here. Was emphasized. Okay? As I pause here, I hope you enjoy our ride. Don't forget to watch my next episode and please hit the red subscribe button below for it means so much for me. Until next time, thank you so much.